let's go over RTA. Now, RTA, and again, I have a question like this in the library, so you guys can look at it at your leisure, but why not do it together to kind of hit it and move forward? I hope you realize this book is all full of. Give me a second, guys. Hold on. I will be sad. Can't make them ever happy, but I love them and they love me, and we love them and they love us. So, all right. Okay, see my screen okay? All right, cool. Let me see, because I lost you. Let me see where you guys are at. All right. So in a question, can you see my screen? We're good? Yes, you can see my screen. Perfect. Awesome. Okay, thank you. So renal tubular acidosis, there's 3 of them, right? I need you all to be on board with this, because this is one of hundreds, if not thousands, of things you should really conquer and do them well. Now, if you're comfortable with this, that's awesome. But it's also a sense of review if you're not comfortable, right? Something like this, renal tubular acidosis, is something where I love, because A, you can master really quickly. Oh, there you guys are. And B, you can really appreciate exactly how to conquer and how to leverage the test, right? So this is what happens. Actually, let me ask you a question. Dr. Alexa, are you comfortable with RTA? Enough to teach it?
Enough to teach it now.
All right, next time. What are you comfortable teaching, by the way? I know you told me you're good at some stuff. Genetics?
Genetics and micro.
Oh,
and I'm
what kind
an
of micro?
immuno.
Immuno. Oof. What kind of micro? Like, you do everything?
Yeah. Well, I'm getting a lot better with pharmacology, but definitely not my strongest suit.
Good. Awesome. Okay. So I will prepare you in advance. I'll ask you in advance if you want to do something for us in the future. How's that sound? Good?
Sounds good. Yeah.
All right. So I'm gonna teach you. I'm gonna brush up on a little RTA, and then I'll do one. And if one of you guys want to jump on, we can do it together. Ideally, let's do this. If you have things like this, glycogen storage diseases, or lysosomal storage diseases, or RTA 1, 2, 4, it's only 3 of them: 1, 2, and 3. Even though this is 4. So look at the 2 parameters here, the 2 little categories. We have urine pH and serum potassium. This is how my mind works. I look for stuff that are similar and stuff that are different, right? So if I can put everything together that's the same, wouldn't it be nice? Because I could learn more in less time. So the whole thought process is, what can I do to learn these fast, but never forget them ever again? So when I see 2 things, urine pH and I see serum potassium, this is pretty cool, because out of the 3 types, 1, 2, and 4, there's only one that's high potassium. The third last one, whatever the last one is. Isn't it also cool that it's called hyperkalemic? There's high potassium. So if you ever have high potassium in any of these 3, it's always going to be the last one. By default, the other 2 are going to be low, because it shows you this is high, these are low. How awesome is this? Oh, and to make it easier, the pH is the opposite. So you have low 5.5 pH, and these are higher. I know this one has both. Don't worry about it. They're not going to really play with you on this. If they ever ask you a question on the board exam, it's going to be either 1 or 4. This is a little too complicated. That there's so much more things that can get you on. That, trust me on this. This is not going to make you or break you on the exam. So don't spend too much time figuring it out. It is self-explanatory, but trust me, you see what I'm talking about. So when you have high potassium, it's always 4. And the other ones are low potassium. By default, we flip it. pH, well, this one's always less than 5.5, and this is greater than 5.5. Okay, cool. So automatically we're covered with potassium versus pH. Okay, that's 1. The other one is this. We have type 1, type 2, type 4. You know how I love the alphabet and love the numerical scale 1 through 10? Why not use them all? We have D, then P, the alphabet. D, and then P, just like 1, and then 2. So the first one's distal, the second one's proximal. Well, that's cool. So we have distal, proximal, and then the last one's high potassium. Okay, because we know what happens. This is usually, it works in the distal part, and this works in the proximal part. Okay, this is pretty cool so far. So we know about potassium, we know about pH, and we know about the location. D, P, high potassium. Cool. Now, follow me with this. The next one is the causes. This is the easiest part. This is what I do. It always helps me, and I hope it's going to help you too. We look at the ones that have, okay, this is what causes type 1, this is what causes type 2, this is what causes type 4. Okay, follow me. Type 2, we said it what? Proximal, right? So multiple myeloma, 2Ms. So you'll never forget, multiple myeloma can cause type 2. Where does carbonic anhydrase inhibitors work? Man, you better put this in the chat box, guys. I'm going to literally end the session now and go play golf. I don't play golf, heads up. I'll pretend to play golf. The proximal tubule. Lynn, thank God, Lynn. I was going to press cancel and move. I'm joking. I won't ever do that. So, yes, proximal, right? Carbonic anhydrase inhibitors work in the proximal and the PCT. Interesting how carbonic anhydrase inhibitors, which work in the PCT, can cause proximal renal tubular acidosis because it's in the proximal, right? Wow. So automatically, if you get a case like this, you know you have 1, 2, and 4. The last one is high potassium. We just talked about it, right? The other ones are low potassium. By default, if this is high, this is going to be low. So we have two variables, potassium and pH. So we're good for that. They usually give you one or the other or both. Next, we know type 1, type 2, type 4. We have distal, proximal, hyperkalemic. If it gets down to causes, they will give you multiple myeloma. We know it's type 2, 2Ms, right? M&Ms, which I love, plus mortality and morbidity at the hospital, great conferences and events to go to, meetings to go to, presentations. That's when you see attendings fight with each other through their residents. The residents present their case, and one attendant goes, starts challenging the resident because the resident is representing the other attending. It's very comical. It's upsetting but comical at the same time. Those are called mortality and morbidity conferences. M&Ms. Every usually main hospital has it. Major hospital. So causes, we have M&M, carbonic anhydrase, and we have Fanconi syndrome. Fanconi syndrome. Just memorize. I don't know. Remember Fanconi syndrome. Okay, good. Is it because the residents want to die? Yeah. No, they're just stuck in the middle, man. They're just doing their presentation. Usually mortality and morbidity is when they go over cases that either people passed away or people got sick and what can we do to have changed it. And usually people try to challenge each other, but if you follow the guidelines, no matter what, you can't get in trouble because these are the guidelines that people are putting together for us to use as physicians. But it is plus they're free breakfast for everyone else who's hungry. But on top of that, it's a mess. It is unbelievable how they all go for each other. Anyway, so type 2 is Fanconi, M&M, carbonic anhydrase. The only thing you have to memorize is Fanconi. The other ones are easy. M&M is 2, and then carbonic is in the PCT. Watch this. Number 4, right? Hyperkalemic, they're all drugs. Okay, they have decreased aldosterone production. Fine. Diabetic hyporenism. It's usually going to be ACE inhibitors, ARBs, NSAIDs, heparin, cyclosporin, potassium sparing diuretics, TMP, trimethoprim sulfamethoxazole. It's all drugs. So as a test taker, I would say, if they give me multiple myeloma, carbonic anhydrase, or Fanconi's type 2, it's easy. If typically all drugs would be type 4. Here's a couple exceptions. Type 1, right? A, first letter of the alphabet, type 1. We have A for amphotericin B. We did it this morning in micro, didn't we? How it drills all those holes in the membrane. Horrible drug, okay? A for analgesics. A for congenital anomalies, like obstruction. A for autoimmune diseases. Now, the chances of getting A, and you see, well, A is, amphotericin is a drug. Yes, of course, guys. There's obviously ACE in here and ARBs here and NSAIDs here. But as a test taker, I'm trying to help you understand and see how to categorize tables like this. So whatever table you use to use this formula that I'm using with you today, you say, what do I do to be able to understand all these different parts in the chart? I go for the things that I can easily, clearly indicate. If it's high potassium, boom, there's only one. The rest are low. If the pH is low, this is easy. There's only one. The rest are high. Then you have D for distal, P for proximal, 1 and 2. Then the last one of all is the causes. all the A's are in class 1, the cause type 1, the M&M plus carbonic anhydrase plus Fanconi is type 2, and all the other crappy drugs are type 4. They'll probably give you like heparin, potassium sparing, like, like spironolactone, the triamterene, NSAIDs. That's what they're going to give you, right? If they're going to give you anything. So pH and potassium help you differentiate the conditions. Then you know the causes, you know the locations, and you know the levels of pH and potassium. Now, that was a quick rundown, which I also I do the extensive version in the question library, but this is an example of what I love to do.